Here's a few ways to not get exploited by a narcissistic person. Narcissistic people like to exploit you because they want to identify your weaknesses. They want to identify the things you really love and the things you really desire. They want to identify the things you were missing, whether it's from your ex, your family. Then they'll take that and use it against you. They will. I did it, sadly, and I'm not proud of it. They hate the fact that you have strength. They hate it. So you have to show up in the relationship in the beginning. You have to show up strong. You have to show up self-centered. You have to show up with morals. You have to show up with character and integrity. I always say there's two type of women that I was afraid of because I knew I couldn't get to them, were the spiritual women and the strong women. The women that showed up, sure of themselves. Even if they weren't, they showed up and they let me know through the conversation. They were sure, they were positive, they were polite, they were grounded, right? And so they had that it factor. And I was like, nothing I'm going to do or say is going to work on her, So show up in your strength. Narcissistic people hate knowing that they can't help you. They hate knowing that you got the strength, the power, the courage. I hated it. I hated knowing that I could not really get to her or help her. I could help her in other ways, but I wasn't interested in that. My therapist told me I always wanted women to depend on me and rely on me. And then when they depended on me and relied on me, I became upset. And I was like, I didn't know how she found it out through conversation, through talk therapy, but she made me think about it. And she was right. I thought I was always doing the right thing, being the best person to this woman, but I was doing it because I had selfish ways. And then when I would want to be the man in relationship, do everything, when they start relying on me, I get mad and curse them out and start being very, very rude and disrespectful. So yeah, show up in your strength, show up in your positivity, show up loving life, show up living your best life. You have to do that, because my family was broken up when I was 11. I didn't like family. I didn't like being married. I didn't like having a wholesome household. I didn't. And so I hated hearing about family events and family things. And, Leon, we got this thing today. And, Leon, my family is my family. My. It drove me crazy because I didn't have the family. My family was broken up through divorce. And that affects young people, especially young men, because I didn't know how to express myself. I would suppress it. People made fun of me when my parents got divorced. So that family, when you talk about narcissistic people, if you mention family, you show up in your strength, your spirituality, you'll notice that they start to get the body language starts to move around and they start to sweat. They start to get angry. They will start to walk away, leave, or avoid the conversation. I had a girlfriend that was deeply into God when I was young. And I was like, I don't want to hear about the Bible. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that God stuff. I don't want to go to church. I was serious about it too. And so she stopped asking me to go to church. So if you want to prevent yourself from being exploited by a narcissistic person, talk about family, right? Talk about spiritual stuff. Talk about the Bible. Talk about God. Show up in your strength, right? Be strong. Have your character and your morals out front. I was afraid of women that had character and morals and integrity. I was like, I don't want no parts of her because I can't play my little games, Those women, and just not necessarily always, empaths, just good-natured people, are covered by God. So when I showed up, it was like a shield around them. Their aura was different. I'm sure my aura was dark, And so I just didn't want to go to church. Family irritated me, talking about family issues, family events. I hid a lot of things. I didn't want to cuddle. I didn't want to hold hands. I didn't want to get close to her. So if you want to prevent yourself from being exploited, pay attention to the things that we don't do. We don't like church. This is Leon before therapy. We don't like talking about God. We don't like talk about anything spiritual. We don't like holding hands. We don't like cuddling, right? We don't like being close. So think about those things. You can get all that information out of a narcissistic person at the beginning of the relationship, the first few dates, so you don't have to waste your time and get your heart broken later on, All women, when I say all women were emotionally stronger than me. All women. Even if they didn't have a lot of experience in relationships, they were all emotionally stronger than I was. They were. I knew it. I wasn't going to admit to that. I couldn't admit my weaknesses. Narcissistic people won't do that, And so a lot of times, I will close with this. The way you prevent yourself from being exploited by a narcissistic person is to realize that they're going to be interested in you, but they're not going to be interested in your morals, in your character, and in your integrity. They're not. So you show up in your strength, You show up in your spirituality. You show up in your spiritual realm, your spiritual world, right? You show up in your morals, your character, and your integrity. You start seeing it. They can't hide it. I couldn't hide it. I was like, what's wrong, Leon? I'm like, I'm good. I wasn't good. So always show up strong in your strength, right? And be sure of yourself. And that's how you will prevent from being exploited by a narcissistic person. You have a great day. Have a lovely day. Have a warm day. Have a delicious day. All right. Bye-bye.